Hi, I'm Riz, and I'm here to talk through how to use custom questionnaires on PsychMeter. This video assumes you've created an account already and you understand the basics of how questionnaires work. If you don't know those, check out the previous two videos. Custom forms reside in the custom section. When you go here, you can see the existing custom forms you have, and you can click in and manage those if you need to. But to create a new questionnaire, you start with the add function. Right at the top, you'll see that there's a video tutorial you can watch, which will be this video. So if you need help, you can always learn from watching this video. Every questionnaire starts with a name. You need a way to identify the questionnaire. So we will call this one client intake form. And you have to ask, you can answer whether you want it scored or not. I know this is an intake form, but I'll keep it as scored just for demonstration purposes, but generally an intake form would not be scored. What scoring means though, is it allows you to have options that add up, that get it added up together as they're selected, much like any other questionnaire out there, to give you a score that you can graph the results of over time. So the way it works is you end up providing to PsychMeter different types of either instructions or questions you'd like to present to the client or user. So we'll start with an instruction, and the instruction is, please fill out this intake form. So within this, there's also the show this option, which I will get to. We'll just ignore it for right now. We'll also ignore these buttons along the side for right now, which I'll get back to. When you've got the instructions done, you can add a new instruction or question by clicking on one of these buttons. These buttons are provided throughout, and when you click them, it adds it immediately below the green button that you click. So when I click this, it adds a new one down here, right at the bottom. So this next one, I'm going to make a multiple choice question. And I'll say, how do you feel? And again, I'm going to skip the show this and the option buttons to the side, which we'll get to. So poor, and that's a score of 1 if you pick poor. And you can go okay, and that's a score of 2. And I'm going to click this button here, and it just adds another choice I can use. So excellent, and that's a score of 3. Along here, you have this clinician comment section. This is something you can use to provide additional information, especially when you later download this questionnaire in an Excel format. So I'll show that to you in detail, but right now I'm just going to fill in some options. So needs a lot of help. Oops. Go client is generally okay, or client can be discharged. On the side here, you see these trash icons. You can delete these and it will remove that option. So you can always delete options that way. Moving on, I'll add another one. And this one here will be a short answer question, which is basically just a straight text box, much like you see here. And I will say on this one, please elaborate why you feel poor. And here, you could say, I only want to show this question when the how do you feel question, which is the previous one up here, you can see it says, how do you feel, is equal to poor. So this way, this question will only show when the client has picked poor as their answer for the previous question. I'm going to add another question, and this is going to be a checkbox question. So you can have multiple checkboxes so that, on a multiple choice question, you can only pick one answer. On a checkbox question, you can pick multiple answers. You'd say, what factors are impacting your mood? Say family, work, and I can put a clinician comment, investigate relationships with family, investigate key stressors at work, and I can say, friends, investigate friendships, etc. And you can keep going. And so now I've got a questionnaire that I built with instructions, a multiple choice question, short answer question, checkbox questions, and I'll add one more, which is long answer question, which lets the person filling out the questionnaire enter a lot of text, more than one line. So anything else you'd like to add? And that's it. Now, turning back to these buttons along the side, which we haven't gone through, the trash button will actually delete this question or instruction. So if I click that, you'll see this long answer question. You get a confirmation and it disappears because it's removed. I will add it back. Long answer question. You also notice something I neglected to mention before is this red area around this box. It indicates there's an error. When there's an error, you can't save the questionnaire, and it'll actually give you a little bit of text to help you right here where it says enter all instructions. So for this one here again, anything else you'd like to share? The other buttons here, this one here is actually if you want to reorder questionnaire options, you can click this button and it moves it up. So you can see now that question's up here. Or I can click the down button and it moves an option down. Obviously, when it's the last question, you can't click it. And when it's the first question, you can't move it any further up. Finally, this button here, sometimes you have very similar questions, or you have maybe, let's say, a multiple choice format that you use over and over again. You can use this clone button, duplicate button, which creates a copy of the same question right below, and you can modify it and keep going from there. I'm just going to delete that because it's not what I need. So with that, you've seen how to create a questionnaire. At the end of that, I will save my questionnaire, and you'll see it shows up right here, client intake form custom, along with the date I created it and when it was updated. To work with client intake forms, you click on it, and just like any other form, you can send it to the client, you can fill it with the client, or you can preview it. But you'll also notice at the top there's these three buttons that give you additional options. The first one allows you to modify the form, so it takes you back to the editing experience you had from before, where you can make changes to the form. I'm going to go back. This next one allows you to delete the intake form. What that will do is make it so that the intake form is no longer available to be sent to anyone again. It's a great way to get rid of older versions of forms. But any data you've collected from people who filled out the form will still remain in PsychMeter, and you can still look at that. You just can't make changes, and you can't send it to anyone else. This final button here is great if you're making forms that are very similar to each other. So you've made an intake form last year, let's say, and this year you want to make modifications to that intake form. You can clone that intake form and make a new copy of it to make changes to it and save it as a new form, which you can then use going forward. So with that, I'm just going to quickly go into fill with client so you can see how that works. So when you go with fill with client, it looks exactly the same as any other form. You can pick your client. And here you can see, if you pick poor, please elaborate why you feel poor shows up. What other factors are impacting your mood, you can check off as well, and you can say anything else you'd like to share. And you click, if the patient's done, when they're done, you can click finished, and you can see that right there, that's also scored it using the information you provided. So when you have a custom form, you can still click the Save PDF button, which will allow you to print out the answers in PDF form. You can just click PDF here at the bottom, save it to where you want to save it, which is on my desktop, save. In addition, you can also click the CSV button, which will download a file in a Excel format. And this is where those notes we showed earlier come in handy. So you can see here, it's got each question, the answer, the value if it was scored. Anything that the client entered, I entered nothing, so obviously there's nothing there. But you'll see this last area here, which gives you the clinician notes. So a lot of clinicians, what they'll do is actually select this, copy, and paste it into their templates for report writing, which can be really helpful to quickly generate reports from custom questionnaires. So with that, thank you.